fuck, what episode are we on? I don't care.
54.
Thank
Last
you.
week was.
Welcome to another episode. I don't know what episode it is. 54, 55, 53.
50. Set Hut.
It's at Hut.
Hey,
Omaha.
Blue 42.
Welcome to episode 54 of Ripping the Rack podcast. I am one of your Triforce Tri hosts. My name is Tim. With me today, we're going to the guy on top. He's got Grand Theft Auto in the background.
B's on top.
Sorry, Rocky. B's on
Rocky.
top, buddy.
Just leave me a little open. I just need to breathe. That's all I need, baby. Let's go. Let's go. Just
Mr. Athern, how are you, buddy?
I am great. How are you guys doing?
Good stuff, buddy. Good to be here.
And on the bottom today, he is riding the third rail, the third leg, whatever you want to call it. Mackie Pins.
That third leg, baby. It's so important. What's happening, everybody? How you doing, fellas?
I'm doing great. How are you?
All right. The third leg's sitting perfectly right where it needs to be, and everything's comfortable, and we're ready to get her going here.
There we go. That's awesome.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
So we have a special segment this week.
Very special.
Very special segment.
It's a dedicated segment.
Dedicated.
Close to the heart. Very
close to the heart. We have an episode of Lock Letters.
Lock Letters.
Lock Letters. That is L-O-C-K-E.
Yes.
Canadian fellows.
They like adding vowels in so many different places.
In honor of Calvin's ever-growing opinion of our mail answering skills, this episode will feature all questions answered specifically for Mr. Calvin.
Not quite the entire episode, because we do need to talk about two things real quick, and then we're going to jump into...
This is why we have a run-through. We didn't have it.
We didn't do it there today.
So, first thing first, I'd like to congratulate Freshie on his wonderful showing in the money match. You're welcome, buddy.
I didn't say it.
I got you, Freshie. You're welcome. That was a smooth 80-something string to start.
Right out of the gate, too.
Right out of the gate. I tell you what, buddy, you might want to put that weight back on.
I think it's the beard. No. It's not the weight. He looks great. He lost a ton of weight. He looks really good. He really does. It's the beard. Ever since he shaved, he went from Santa Claus to Chuck Norris beard. It just hadn't been the same. Let me tell you,
the frustration when you lose weight and you're trying to bowl. Your arm is never in the same spot on consecutive balls. I will throw a missile, and then I'll be like, oh, that felt great. And then I'll throw the same thing. I'll be like, oh, my arm was way out there because that ball's over the 7.
So, no, I give
Brian's back.
I give Freshie shit only because I can, and I love the dude. And he would give it right back if he were on this show.
Oh, absolutely. 100%.
So I do want to wish Lucky Strike well next year with Freshie on the team.
He will be getting all of Slinky and Baker's beers.
Great pickup, guys.
All of them. Is he going to bring his bowling bag or just a tray? And just?
Oh, my God. No, it was really cool to see a good,
awesome.
What I call a good money match, meaning there was some good money involved in this. This wasn't like, hey, we're bowling for $10. I mean, shit, it was $2,500. Winner take all.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
And we do have
$1,000 a guy. Just to clarify, it was $1,000 a guy.
$500 a guy.
Oh, $500 a guy.
It was $500 a guy, and then Rob.
Yes.
Kicked in $500.
Yes, he did.
Kicked in $500. So we will announce now. It has been announced on Facebook. There is a second money match lined up. One Mr. Brian Fuller Jr. and John Winchell will be taking on Slinky and Sean Baker. Mm-hmm. Again, $2,500. Thank you to Rob for kicking in another $500.
I believe that was scheduled up for like September.
Names.
Yeah, I think it's a couple. It wasn't anytime soon. I think it's a couple months away.
These are turning into like UFC fights. You got camp. You got to train. Like,
I think it's cool. I love it. And frankly, if I
there
had
should be more of it.
If I had the extra money, truly, if I had the extra money right now, I'd get a good partner, and I'd take some people on.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't have the extra money, so
I don't have $500 to be throwing at a bowling match. To be honest,
neither do I. I've done it before. back before I was married and when I had extra money.
These are things that happen.
And I might have had maybe some people that would back me back then.
Or you didn't have people explain to you how inappropriate it is to spend the money in that particular manner.
That is true.
Yes. That's really the point of the hour. Whether or not you have it is irrelevant. Whether or not you should spend it on that particular enterprise, is where our better halves usually come in and say,
I just think it's really cool. I think it's a great idea. I've been formulating a tournament in my mind that we used to do quite extensively back in the day, and it a little less. It was $100 a man, but it was 20 strings. It was a home and home match. $100 a man, 16 guys. We used to do winner gets 1,000, loser gets 600. But you would bracket style all the way, and
I like that.
It was fun. It was fun.
Cool.
Again,
competition's intensive. You got to get to the finals in order to get paid.
Yep,
that's solid.
I mean, yes and no. To technically get paid, but there was a lot of side money. Side bets, a lot of side money.
And probably people who weren't even bowling, there was a lot of side money.
There were. No, seriously, absolutely. So more to stay, more on that later on down the road, because I think we could probably do something like that again. So, and the last thing I want to bring up before we get to our episode of Lock Letters.
Lock Letters.
Lock Letters. Let's see. Mixed Worlds.
Mixed Nationals.
Mixed Nationals.
Mixed Nationals. Nate had updated that the team list has been fully updated. 18 teams for this, which is pretty cool.
It's very cool that we got that many without having our Canadian friends being able to come down and join the tournament like this. Having 18 full teams. That's still a solid weekend. 17 strings of bowling.
That's a solid weekend.
I wonder how they're going to do it. They're going to do Friday, Saturday, Sunday?
No,
just Saturday, Sunday. Just Saturday,
That's a lot
Sunday.
of bowling.
If I had to guess, they'll do 11 and 6.
That's what I was thinking. Same thing. When we go to the captain's meeting, we'll decide it there. But that was going to be my vote exactly.
I like 11 and 6 for that. For the Worlds, I spoke extensively of this for the Mixed Worlds. Advocating for Friday, and people were like, "Oh my God, it's Friday!" It's like, look, you have a full year to plan for this. If you're gonna bowl 23 strings, I'm not bowling 12 on one day and 11 on another.
Sometimes it was even more than that. There was something we'd go like 14 and 9 or something ridiculous like that. And we'd be getting out of the bowling alley at like midnight on Saturday, and then
you'd be back in there at 9. Like the one at Lita was the one I could think of.
Oh God.
That one we did at Lita where we didn't get out of there on Saturday.
That was atrocious.
It was almost midnight.
Yep.
Back in at 9, and then we didn't get out of there until almost 9 o'clock Sunday night.
I left at 7:30 because we were out of it, and it was a driving rain. And I'm like, well, I should probably start now.
So, again, that is coming up. That will be June 12th, the weekend of June 12th, I believe.
12th and 13th, yes.
12th and 13th at Academy Lanes.
That's Father's Day weekend, correct?
Probably.
I think it is.
Father's Day is usually right around there. So.
And the U.S. Open.
And the U.S. Open. Congratulate Phil Mickelson on showing that the old guys can still do it.
Did you see his mom's
50 years old?
Did you see his mom's text he was sending Phil's sister or his wife? So Phil's mom was saying, text Philip and tell him to just play conservative and don't activate calves or anything like that. Just par.
That's cool. That is cool. But anyway, mixed nationals, I guess you want to call it.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. Looking forward to it.
Mixed New Englands.
Mixed New Englands, whatever you want to call it.
Hopefully this is the last one of the majors that we have to go through, that we don't see our Canadian friends, because that's the other fun part of the tournament, is getting to mingle with our buds that we don't get to see but more than once or twice a year.
Yes.
We haven't seen them in almost 3 years at this point.
I love hearing the accents. I love it when we go up north and we can get real poutine. I miss the Canada. I miss the Canada in the game right now.
I do.
I miss it horribly.
I almost even miss Calvin right now.
I wouldn't go that far, but I miss the Canada.
I miss the Canada. So yes. So let's move on to our episode of Lock Letters.
Lock Letters. Brought to you by the extra vowel known as the letter E.
The letter E. So, knowing that the mixed nationals is at Academy, and knowing that Academy is a tougher than normal house. So, we had a question from a listener that says, why do you go and bowl at a house that you know the pinfall is low? If you always complain about that house, why go and bowl at it?
Because that's where the tournaments are.
I was about to say, why do rock climbers climb a mountain?
Because it's
there. Why do we go and torture ourselves? Because we do.
I'm going to answer it this way.
Because our friends do too.
So why do I go and bowl at a house that I know the pinfall is low? Number one, there are some houses that I refuse to go back, and I have not bowled in tournaments because it has been at that house. Brian knows this. Brian has seen it. Said, hey, do you want to bowl? And I said, where is it? And he said, it's here. And I said, hell no. See ya. No.
I think we've all done that once or twice to a place.
Not worth my time and effort. However, there are some tournaments out there, the Worlds, the Mixed Worlds, the Can-Ams, the International Mixed Doubles, what I would call your bigger draws, your bigger tournaments, that I'm going to go to regardless of where they're at.
It's a lot like golf.
I was just about to say the same thing.
Yeah, are at harder courses.
Yes.
It's very similar to like a PGA Tour. We have local tournaments here and there randomly, but then 2-3 times a year, we have the major events, right? Like you would say, the International Mixed Doubles, the Can-Ams itself, the Mixed Worlds, the regular Worlds. I mean, these are, and like Easter Sunday, there's certain tournaments that are just that major that you go. Whether you like it or not, the money it's either some guys, it's all about the money. Some guys, it's about the pride of saying that they competed. But you go. You just go. Because it's there.
Yes. Now, I'll give a perfect example. This last tournament that I bowled in, the Eliminations, it is one of the biggest tournaments that the state of Maine has. It was in a difficult house. It was at Sammy's in Waldoboro. It is a tough house. I went because that's where the damn tournament is.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's
because I mean, if you're not going to bowl the eliminations, there's no real point to bowling a lot of the tournaments that whole time. So in the beginning of the year, you know where the eliminations are. So it's kind of like, well, do I want to bowl the whole year?
So I made a run this year, and I said, you know what? It's the one tournament I haven't won. It's the one tournament I've been the number one seed at multiple times and have lost in the finals or lost in the semifinals. I'm not getting any younger, but I can still compete. I can still bowl just as good as everyone else.
You've had your Phil Mickelson moment before Phil.
I'm going to make a run at it.
True.
So I looked at the tournaments and where they were for the year, and I said, these are the tournaments I'm going to bowl in this year. Some because I like the houses. I like to bowl in there. Others because I'm like, okay, I've got to get 40 strings.
You did load management.
I did load management. I didn't bowl every one. I bowled in the ones where I wanted to bowl or I needed to bowl. So you won't see me bowling at a league in some of these places because if I'm going to pay money every week, I'm not paying money to kick myself in the balls. It just...
You can do that for free at your own
house. I bowled at every week that Tim subbed, and he went, "You do this every week?" And we went, "Yeah." And he's like, "No."
I bowl league for two reasons. One, I bowl to have fun. It's my night out. It's my night out with the guys. I want to have a good time. I want to joke around. I want to have fun. I don't necessarily care about my score.
Tim just wants to have fun.
Anyway, but I also don't want to feel like Brian's kicking me in the nuts every week saying, here, give me my $15-20 and okay, get ready. Here comes a foot up your ass.
Right.
Sorry. I'm still paying money. So to answer that question, I know I just went a long-winded thing on this.
There's one more thing I'd like to add about this. Sometimes when we have to go bowl the tournament at a place that we may not want to, or pinfall is low, or it's quirky or something, it's the same for everybody.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So in a situation like that, this is how I look at tough houses. I grew up in tough houses. I run what's called a tough house. Okay, I get it. If you can bowl well in tough houses and you can outlast other people in a tough house, and if your skill can come to the forefront in a tough house, you'll do better than most if you can keep yourself consistent. It's a good test of your own mettle. It's a good test of your own discipline on the inside. How long can you go without exploding, kicking a ball rack, screaming and yelling? How long can you actually play before you actually go nuts? And can you outlast your opponent? In a tough house, the better bowlers will tend to win more. They'll be less sloppy. There'll be less backdoor. There'll be less of all that garbage. Your pin pickers, your pin cutters, your third ball bowlers will tend to bowl better over the course of the long haul, and your team should do better. So if you're going to the tournament and it's at the harder house, and you know you're not scared of dropping 9 and picking your singles whenever you have to, if you can do that, it shouldn't matter where the tournament is. You should be able to go and get it done.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's my take on tough houses and stuff.
And again, one of the benefits of being friends with Brian is we travel a lot to places together, which means that we talk a lot. Sometimes it's about
started doing a podcast.
Good point.
Sometimes it's about
we should talk about this on a camera.
It's kind of how it happened, dude.
Cool.
Honestly, I came into the league. This was September, I think.
Yeah, September of 2018, I think. It was before Colin was born.
Was it really that long ago that we started just kind of talking about it?
It's not that long.
We talked about it for almost a year before we actually ordered the stuff, and then it took us 6 months after we ordered it.
Yeah, that's true. Okay. Well, it started as just chatting. I came in one night of league and going, I looked at Brian. I said, "You know what we should do?" And he's like, "Oh Jesus, what?" And I just looked and I said, "What, Brennan?" No. I was like, "No, Dale, get your nutsack off my drum set." I was like, "We should do a podcast." And he looked and he goes, "Yeah. What do you want to talk about?" And I was like, "I don't know. But we should do a podcast."
Well, we should do a podcast. I don't know what the hell to do, but let's do it.
What it started. Anyway, so yes, there, listener. Why do we go and bowl at a house when we know pinfall is low? Because that's where the tournaments are. And if we always complain about that house, why go and bowl at it? Ultimately, I have let my money dictate on a house.
That, and we are gluttons for punishment. Yeah. This game has turned us gray early. We are the definition of insanity. We go and do the same thing over and over again, and literally expecting different results every single time.
Yeah.
You do get them in candlepin bowling.
Correct.
You get different results every time.
This is a game of insanity, and those of us that do this consistently and on a high level in a small degree of things are a little bit insane. But this is the game that we love, and this is the culture that we're a part of. And if we weren't here, it would be different.
And yes, I will continue to bitch about bowling in certain houses, and yet I will continue to pay my money to go in those houses.
That's right.
Sorry.
It's like how Dunk screws your order up every single goddamn day. It's like,
and you keep going I'll see you tomorrow. The same dunks, right? Yeah. Screw you, drive-through guy. You suck, but I'll be back in the morning.
I'll see you tomorrow.
We're New Englanders. We're different kinds of people. It's what we do.
Yes. Yeah,
it's almost part of the
just
culture.
what
Like
we
it's almost
do.
part of the bowling experience. Like, oh, you're bowling here, bitch, 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 bowl, bitch, bitch. Okay, do it again next year.
Right.
Yeah.
Shake hands with the guy that just beat you. You walk in, and then you're back there the next week for the next tournament or the next league or whatever the hell else it is.
Right.
It's just what we do.
But yes, there are a couple of places where I have refused to set foot in again. One of them is no longer there. It was torn down, and I still flip it off every single time I drive by that area.
I know that one.
Brian knows that one.
Dover Foxcroft?
No, I love
that place was
there.
awesome.
Did you ever bowl there, Maki?
No, we met with the guy after the roof fell down on the lanes there a couple of years ago. We met up with the guy and actually bought a lot of his pots and a lot of things out of there. So we were there, like working on the machines and stuff when the roof collapsed.
A couple of years ago?
Like afterwards.
Yeah, the roof.
Yeah, it was
they were closed for years, and then the building just fell into disrepair.
The one in Millinocket, the roof collapsed too. Pins and Q's collapsed in Millinocket.
Yeah, Dover Foxcroft
right down the road from Kelly's house.
Rocket Lanes. I think it was Rocket Lanes.
It was called Rocket Lanes, yeah. There was like a movie theater, a washing machine, a laundry, like the whole fucking. You could spend a whole weekend there. Like it was cool.
It was an amusement park.
I only bowled there twice. And one of them, right after the tournament, I went to the emergency room and had emergency surgery on my toe. So, but I still bowled well.
Oh, I'd boy. All right.
I still bowled well. But Auburn lanes can
explain to Mark why though.
Well, I mean, there's two reasons. The biggest reason is the approaches. I believe were 8 feet, 8-foot approaches.
That's small.
Yeah, no shit. I thought Bangor was always
shorter
small.
than Bangor's. I think Bangor was a 10 or 12.
Bangor's 14. Bangor's 14 foot.
So that's almost half.
There was a place in Somerville, Mass, where I grew up that had approaches like that. It wasn't a big major lanes. It was this tiny little hole in the wall place that you had to like be in a league. They were never open for open bowling. You had to be in a league to bowl there. And their approaches were like that. They were like 6-7 feet long. It was absolutely ridiculous.
Maybe it was 10 feet. I don't know, but it was not more than 10 feet. Okay. Now I have, for a short guy, I had a long 3-step approach. I just couldn't bowl there. Mark Smith grew up bowling there. Everyone knows how Mark Smith.
Actually, that explains a lot. Mark has a very short, compact approach for such a big guy with long ass legs like that. Yes. That actually explains quite a bit.
So that place to me can go pound sand. It
already did.
It can forever rest in the fiery grave that it's in.
There's other reasons why the owner doesn't like me, and that's okay.
That's okay. Moving on. Let's answer another lock letter.
Let's answer another one here.
Yeah.
So
let's keep Calvin happy. Keep him watching. Keep him engaged.
This person would like to know, because we've talked about this kind of in the past. They said, how has bowling changed with the etiquette over the last 20 plus years?
That depends on where you are.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion, personally, we've already noticed that there's a different etiquette north and south of the border. Up north, there's not the bowler on the right rule. Although I will say, while we're at international competitions, just because that is kind of the etiquette that we teach in the kids leagues and even the adult leagues that aren't professional by any means, still follow this. Like if 2 people are ready, the one on the right goes first. From what we've noticed, that doesn't really exist much up north. But it's the variances on where you play. Down here, if you have 2 people on the left and the right ready to go at the same time and the guy goes on the left, you kind of look at him and give him a dirty look like, what the hell are you doing? Like, why you cut me off? Why you chase? What are you doing? But that's natural play up north. Mm-hmm. So it's a very regional question. It depends on where you are. It depends on the kind of league that you're in, even still too. I mean, it's kind of a no-brainer, just the way we bowl here, at least in my house, that it's always bowler on the right and somebody looks at you sideways if you're on the left and you just kind of go. It just kind of is what it is. I've seen people do it at tournaments when it's like an individual or a singles tournament. If the guy on the left throws a strike and the guy on the right like chopped a half Worcester or something, the guy on the left will push his button. This guy will throw his next ball, and then the guy on the left that just threw a strike will just go again.
Yep.
If you're in a singles tournament, I mean, that's when it's a little bit more okay than head-to-head league match, I guess. But
I will tell you right now, I will never go ball for ball with someone in a singles tournament. I'm not bowling against them. I'm bowling against me. Like I'm not, it's not a match.
Mm-hmm.
Like a 10-string tournament, like a main state singles, something like that. I will throw my ball. If I throw a strike, I press the button.
You told me that this fall. You told me you're like, don't wait, just go.
I pick up my next ball. I don't care what the guy on the right or left is doing. I'm not going to cut anyone off. I am aware enough to know that, okay, I know enough about that to know I'm not going to cut someone off. But I'm not bowling box for box with people. It's a singles tournament.
See, I like to. I even if I throw a strike, I'll make the guy stare at my open pit. I'll make him stare at the fact that I threw a strike. Whether it's against him or not, it doesn't matter. It helps my brain stay on the pace of myself.
It's your rhythm.
But that's your rhythm.
Correct. So, yes.
So for me, the only time I bowl box for box, well, I shouldn't say the only time because I do it in league now just because it's habit. Drives me nuts, but I do it. It's the Worlds or the Mixed Worlds or one of those types of match tournaments. Mm-hmm. If it's a match, I bowl ball for ball.
See, that's different. That's team play.
Yep.
That's a different format. That's a different etiquette. That's a different right. So we've talked about there's so many different kinds. There's team play. There's individual play. It's very scenario specific with how you would do it. But either way, wherever you are, whatever is the etiquette for where you are, just don't be a dick. Unless you're trying to be a dick, at which point you'll be taken care of after the match. But at the same time, just don't be a dink. If it's etiquette to not worry about the other guy and just go, like we've seen some videos from some of the Moosehead challenges up in that they bowl up in Moncton there. The two of them go at the same time. That would never happen down here. I'd stop. If I was on the right and somebody on the left went at the same exact time, that would screw me all up. I feel like I'd be balking all over the place. But that's not customary here. Maybe that is etiquette up there. So it's very situationally specific at the highest level, I guess you would say.
Brian, what do you think?
I have seen, at least the leagues I've bowled in, people bowl box for box now. It was kind of like lawless before that. I think it's just because more people in leagues bowled more tournaments. They stepped out of just the randomness of, well, this is the way Grant bowled. He showed me how to bowl, so I'm just going to chuck balls down a lane in this league. They got more structured. I think that's what's happened. I think your everyday leagues have become more structured.
Yes.
Not so much as like, we don't have foul lights in our league, so there's some comical ones, guys who average 80, 89, 90. And
2 feet over the line.
I mean, their whole foot to the heel. Like, the heel's over the foul line. Like,
I have a ladies' league in here on Thursdays during the winter, and they're like that. They go over the line. They don't care. They're just here for a good time. But they still go bowler on the right. They still let the other bowler on the right go. They'll never go at the same time. The woman on the left will never go first. It's just customary, depending on where you are, I guess.
So I can remember my first year in the Worlds, my first experience bowling against a Canadian team. I'm a fairly quick bowler for the most part. If I'm bowling good, I'm not Johnny Boudreaux quick, but I'm pretty damn quick. And the dude had finished his 2 boxes, and I hadn't even thrown my 3rd ball in the first box.
Yeah.
And
he was double strike, and you were sitting there.
That was a shock. My first Worlds, same thing. I had never experienced it.
That was a shock. The thing is, though, is I didn't think anything of it because that's during league. That's what we did in league. Like, we didn't bowl. You bowled your 5 boxes. I didn't get up until the next guy was done. It's not like we were machine gunning through, but we didn't bowl ball for ball or box for box. We bowled our 5 boxes. So up in the Worlds, I was just like, I had that done against me, and then I did it against someone else, and they looked at me like I had 42 heads and like wanted to drill a ball up my ass.
They're not used to the Americans doing it. Because that's Canadian. It's the Canadian etiquette. That's just the way it goes. They're not used to the Americans doing it because they're used to the Americans yelling at them. Oh, what are you doing? Cutting me off. They're not cutting you off. That's just that's just the way they bowl. They see pins, it's their turn. They think it's their turn now, and they just go. And you just get used to that over the course of time. Some of the generation now, some of the younger ones, we bowl ball for ball. They don't go first on the leg. It's just when we're at these international events, you just kind of go. But if you go first, they don't look at you and go, what the fuck? It's just like, oh, all right, that's how we're playing. And then you just keep the play and you just keep going.
You know, the other thing that I've seen when you talk about etiquette over the last 20 years, I have seen, and it's kind of funny, I've seen less outbursts of anger coming from people.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like before, you'd hear someone drop an F-bomb from 8 lanes over. You know, in league, you know, you'd see a ball go 42 feet down the lane. You know, do you see it? You do, but you don't see that type of anger a lot anymore. You still see it from some, and we all know who.
Mm-hmm.
Brian Afton. You know.
Yo, I've dropped F-bombs that people have heard it 20 lanes away, and they look and they're like, God damn it, Maki. But that's just the intensity of the moment. You can't hold it in anymore sometimes. You try and you try and you try. When somebody has an outburst like that, that's not because something just happened for the first time right now.
Yeah,
that's something that's been
building.
No, it's been building for like the last 3-4 games or hour and a half in your body. And eventually your head just explodes and your brain comes up and screams the nastiest word it can think of at the moment.
That's like your 8th or 9th Worcester of the night, or your 8th or 9th Eagle, and you're just like done with it. But here's another question about etiquette. How slow is too slow to bowl? We all know the guys that take a long time to bowl.
At that point, if you're doing it and you're doing it to mess with me, now I'm going to 2-ball you. And what I mean by 2-ball is if you're going to stand there and take a month and a half just to play defense, because I have been going ball for ball with you, I'm just going to throw 2 balls. I'll throw my first ball. And if you're standing there waiting for me you're looking at your thing and it takes, I'm going to shoot my spare. I'm sorry. I do it with Joanne Rosano all the time. Joanne is known as one of the slowest bowlers ever.
But JoJo, but JoJo expects you to.
Correct.
I have bowled next to her before.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Where she has said, now I don't know if she knows who I am. She probably doesn't. It doesn't matter. But she has said this to multiple people. Just bowl your own speed. Don't worry about me.
Just don't push her button.
Don't push her button.
No, never.
No.
But I have my high five of my life bowling next to Joanne Rosano in the Mass State teams tournament that we bowled. The Opens, the non-handicap, was a 3-man team. I threw 765 next to her. We were both in the same position. And I was throwing 2 balls to her 1 the whole time, not cutting her off, but it was just she takes that much longer. Right. She takes that much longer to set up to the point where now I'm screwing with myself if I don't go now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, as long as the person on my left, she was on my right the whole time. So as long as the person on my left was done, so I don't cut them off, JoJo's still standing there, not even brought the ball up yet. I'm going. Mm-hmm. I'm just going. It's the feel of the given situation. You have to grab that feel first. It's very hard to put like a concrete, this is what you do. You have to gather the feel. You got to know the person who's doing it. Is it defense or is it just their natural speed? There's a lot of variables to consider. With JoJo, it's never defense. That's just her natural speed.
That's just her natural speed.
And you just acclimate to that and you get going. Here's some people I can't bowl next to Joanne. No, yes, you can. You just have to learn how.
Yeah. You know, now we all say there's no defense in bowling.
Yes, there
or
is.
the best
tying your shoe.
Yes, there is.
Yes. So there is a few defensive things you can do. One of those is to, like you just said, is 2 balls, is 2-ball something, or slow yourself down. If you're known as a faster bowler, and I've done this against Brian because Brian knows that I'm a fairly fast bowler, and I've done it against him where I've picked up my speed.
Yep.
And he'll be like, "Oh, so
last time we did, I go, oh, we're bowling fast tonight. Okay."
Yeah.
A little friendly douchebaggery. Excellent. Right.
Or I've taken extra time to look over a shot when I don't really need to, because I want to try to get the other guy. If it's a match, I'm not trying to be a dick as much as I'm trying to just break his rhythm a little bit.
You want him to stare at that 9-pin drop a little bit more.
Yeah, but that's being a dick. That's
is
being
it? Is it though?
To me, yes.
Is
Personally,
it?
to me, yeah. If I'm changing myself to mess with the guy that I'm bowling against, I'm a dick. I'm a heel. I'd be a bad guy in wrestling.
Then you know what? Then call me a bad guy, because that is how. And
you
honestly,
are Jimmy Vader.
That is how, years and years and years ago, Charlie Mullen and Russ Neely both said, change it up.
That was a different
struggling, I know. And this is
very different time.
This is where I straddle that line, because I came up during that culture.
That was legit trash talking back then.
Those guys are gone, which means that now it's this side.
Yes.
So I don't do it often. Brian has seen it a couple of times. I've done the Charlie Mullen tie your shoe before.
Well, yeah, if you do it to Brian, if you do it to your buddy.
No, he did it in the Can-Am.
I did it in the Can-Am. A dude had gone 7 marks in a row against me. He's bowling on the left and I'm on the right. I pick up my ball, I set it down, I went up and tied my shoe, put my other foot up there, tied that one, retied it, came back, picked up the bowling ball, wiped it down, got ready. Nope, didn't like that ball. Picked up another ball. Okay.
He won the string.
I won the string.
It worked?
Yes.
Yeah.
It did.
Hey, can we introduce him to that team from Rocky Mountain Pro, those JK Pop guys? Because that sounds awfully heelish.
Maybe it is, but you know what, though?
It sounds like a good business decision.
Yeah, I bet it does.
I was struggling. This guy was on a roll.
Yep.
Okay. My job is not to let him beat me. My job, short of, I'm not going to obviously purposely drop shit and do stupid stuff like that. I'm talking about, okay, and I'm not saying that I took an extra minute or 5 minutes. I'm saying that I broke the rhythm enough where I came back, I crushed the head pin, I left myself a makeable spare.
Yep.
They threw the ball down in the corner. I made my spare. They didn't. I threw a triple strike after that.
Holy shit. See,
Okay.
that's the definition of gamesmanship. There's gamesmanship and there's sportsmanship. They go together, but in the game, there is also the game in the game that we play. And that's how you play the game in the game, is your gamesmanship. And it doesn't always have to be good. There are tactics and there are things that you can kind of do, like the tie in the shoes. They're very benign.
Yep. Now I've only done, I can tell you right now, I've only done that twice in my life.
Yeah.
And once was a joke, and I did it to, who the hell did I do it to? Did I do it to Mark? I don't remember. I did it to Mark Carrier or something like that.
Oh.
It was a joke. It was a joke. They knew it was coming. I did it. It was just being funny.
Right.
And then the other time was again against that match against, was it Chad?
Yeah, it was Chad.
Chad Reed.
Yeah, Chad Reed.
So, question.
Answer.
Brian, I'm gonna leave this one. We'll start with you on this one. How do you select the type of bowling ball you want to use, and do you change it for different bowling alleys? Because I know you have multiple sets.
I like round ones.
Sets. So how do you select what?
Whatever feels good in my hand, I guess. Like I typically will use the same bowling balls for long stretches of time. Then if I struggle, I switch. And then if they feel good, I keep using them for a while and I'll go back. And if I'm in a funk or if I'm bored, I'll throw something in the bag. See if, I don't know. I don't know. I don't.
Okay.
If I like the way they look and they are durable and I read some reviews on them, okay, we'll try them.
Fair enough. Maki?
So I go for durability for the most part. I'm not a huge, I don't really worry about too much how they look. I've always gravitated more towards the much older equipment, 50s and 60s balls that have lasted and I find on eBay and different things. And I kind of put enough of a backspin on the ball. I don't throw it as hard as many guys. I'm not that big of a dude. So I don't need something that's going to overspin on me. And I've found that like base bones, bottom of the line paramounts from years and years ago have suited me well. I haven't thrown anything different in probably 20 years. I went to, like, in my teenage years, I played when the Cyclones came back out, the green and yellow ones. And I bought a set of Rams when they came out and stuff, but they quickly went away. And I just keep going back to Paramounts. I'm using a set of Paramount balls right now that Mark Gregory himself picked them up one Sunday morning off the ball return in Exeter and went, these are older than me. And I went, that's when I knew I had a quality set of bowling balls that were in my hand.
I didn't even know they made bowling balls back then.
Oh, God, yeah. Yeah, there was like dinosaurs and shit, and the first dinosaurs pooped them out, and they were like, oh, look, Paramount. There you go.
Those dinosaur ribs. He knew Fred Flintstone.
To me, it's durability. I need balls that are going to last a long time. You get attached, you get confident, comfortable with them. The last thing I want to do is bring them to a place and have a machine that has a screw head hanging out, take out a ball that's half rubber and half these urethane composites now, and then just miss a gigantic $50 size chunk out of that. That sucks.
So I'll actually, my answer to this is I always end up going back to my original comments that and Brian laughs because I'll put them in my bag for a couple of weeks and I'll go to my urethanes or something. And I've been known to switch bowling balls in league. I'll use a different, I actually, one time this year, I used a different set, all 3 strings.
Seriously?
Yep.
Holy shit.
Yep. Just because it's league. To me, it's practice time. So I'm trying different things. I will say the only time I will change a bowling ball, depending on the house, is if it's synthetic versus, if I know it's a synthetic house versus wood house. I will tend to use my Comets more on synthetic and not bring out my urethanes, just because I find the urethanes grip so hard on synthetic.
They're designed to. That's exactly why they're urethaned up. Yeah.
So I have difficulty controlling, because again, I don't throw as hard as like Brian.
See, I love urethanes on synthetic
because they grip, but you can throw hard.
It through that break.
Right.
Yeah.
If Tim and I throw that ball breaks. I know you throw an overspin for a right-hander. I throw a backspin.
Yes.
But it's the same thing. They would crisscross and make an X, and your first ball would go down and hit the 4-pin, and mine would cross over and hit the 6-pin. I can't throw it through that break.
I think I throw it just a little bit harder than you do.
We're very similar. We're very close.
But it's pretty damn close.
Yeah.
That's really the only time that, and I do carry a set of 2 6s. My urethanes are 2 6s. My Comets are 2 7s, 2 6 6. And I do that for a reason, just because again, I'm older. 10-string tournament, I might drop down to the 2 6s halfway through, something like that. So
no, it's a good question. I like bowling ball questions. I've kind of become a ball aficionado through the years. Like car parts guys can see certain parts and tell you what make, model, and year. Like I'm starting to be able to do that with a lot of different bowling balls. I see them and starting to become a little aficionado.
Doesn't Sacchetti collect old bowling balls or something?
Yeah, half of them he got from me. Let's move on.
Oh.
So let me, I'll ask you guys this one, because this is I actually find this the more interesting question is, what's the best approach to use with bowling? 3-step, 4-step, 5-step?
Your approach.
Your approach.
Your approach. I went through league. I have a 3.5. Okay, like it's not quite a 4, but I take this baby step with my right foot first, and my hand stays. I don't break yet, and then I go 1, 2, 3. And I was told for years that was going to mess me up, and that wasn't going to help. And so many coaches tried to change me back to a 3-step. God, they were wrong. Listen, whatever works for how you deliver the ball, unless you're Fred Flintstoning a 19-step approach, if you can get there in 4 steps, do 4. If you need 5, do 5. There's some guys out there that have the most awkward approaches with 4 and 5 steps, but yet they average 110, 120. Whatever works for you, man.
I've seen somebody that took like 15 and a half She had a very interesting approach, though.
I like this question. Brian, what about you? What's your answer to that one?
It's same as Mark. Whatever works for you. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I've changed my approach a few times. It's however you feel comfortable. It's whatever you think that you can do repeatedly over a long period of time that can make you consistent. Whatever you do, just be consistent. Look at Craig Holbrook. I bet that approach hasn't changed in 50-something years.
And it hasn't.
No.
There's video of him on Channel 5 from the 80s. And you can watch him now, 35, 40 years later. Same delivery.
He's a pitching machine.
Might be 2 or 3 miles an hour slower now, but it's the same damn delivery.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Mark, you and I, it's funny how alike you and I are, other than the fact that you back up the ball versus my overspin.
Fact.
I take a 3.5 step approach.
Mm-hmm. I've seen you do it. We're almost the exact same.
It started, and I remember exactly where it started. So I had a 3-step approach for the longest time, and I used to 3 times backswing 3 times, and as I was doing that, I was rocking. My feet were apart. Michelle Whittle. Brian, you've seen it.
Yeah.
Yes.
From Nova Scotia.
Very similar
she
to
does
that,
the same.
okay?
She rocks.
3 times. And then I would bring my feet together and 3 steps. And I don't know how I got doing that, but that's what I did. I was up in the Worlds, and I kept blowing a tire out, meaning my feet just kept slipping because it was slippery. So I added a 4th step, or a 3.5 step. I started with my right foot forward, and I took a half step. My arm didn't move, but I would take a half step and then go into that 3 step.
It just isn't. It's just enough to get your momentum going a skosh before you break and go into the whole windup. It's just enough, especially for guys that don't throw the ball very, very hard. It gives us a chance to get a little bit of momentum going, and it's almost like you could time yourself off it. Like you were saying, when you rock back, I think back to like Jason Varitek when he used to play catcher for the Red Sox. When he'd be in the batter's box, remember how he'd always back and forth step with his feet, and then that last step that would time him, and then he'd get ready to go.
Yeah.
That first little cheat step, I know that if I take that little half step, and if I move forward too fast, I'm gonna mess up. Yep. Like, it gives me the chance to line it all up and just know where I'm going, not the instant 1, 2, 3 where everything has to work just right. Otherwise, you're going to be all off. It gives you a chance to get a skosh of momentum going and then begin the whole windup. And it adds a little bit onto the ball speed. It adds a little bit on to your accuracy at a certain level.
Get a little bit of action because of the ball speed and the rotation.
And I need my legs. That's where I generate the speed. That's where I generate the power of and I learned that by pitching because I used to pitch. Well, you need your ass when you pitch. That's where your muscles are. You're pushing off. You're really getting that. So it's no different here is the fact that I'm using my legs to generate the speed because, again, short arms, T-Rex Timmy for a reason. Okay? I don't have the big backswing. I don't have, the I don't know who's a, I don't know.
Mark Smith has a big backswing.
Augie Smith, Nicky Norcross, guys like that. Josh Daly, massive backswing.
Joey Hutchinson used to have a huge backswing.
Joey, Dougie Smith, massive backswing.
I don't have that. So, interesting question though. That's good. We're gonna stop. And we're gonna
more lock letters.
No, because we're already like 50 minutes in.
Oh, okay.
So,
I was having so much fun knowing that we were doing this all for Calvin.
Oh no, I'm saving some more for Calvin.
Oh, lovely. More lock letters. Excellent.
We'll have more lock letters down the line.
Yes.
So next week, we do have right now we will have a special guest on the Tuesday morning episode.
Well, a guest anyway. A guest. Well, a guest.
Special.
A guest.
We'll have a guest, and then we will have a guest for next Friday's episode as well. I will throw the teaser out now. Not this coming Friday. The next Friday. Yes. I will throw the teaser out that I have purposely avoided wrestling.
The wrestling?
Wrestling.
Oh, we know the wrestling.
So
we're quite aware of the wrestling.
I've purposely avoided it, not because I don't enjoy it. I actually do. I grew up watching wrestling. I enjoy it. It's fun to me. I don't watch it quite as much as maybe my two co-hosts here, my tri-hosts. But we are going to watch. We are going to talk wrestling next Friday, a week from this coming Friday, with the Dudes and Belts Chatcast. Johnny Death Drop
promotion.
Looking forward to it. Should be fun. I really am. I'm looking forward to it. We're gonna have John Starner on. Talk a little bit about
trip coming up in about a month.
Yep,
actually, a month from today. The dudes leave.
We're gonna talk a little bit about about what you guys are doing on the Twitch with the Dudes and Belts Chatcast.
He called it the Twitch, Mark.
The Twitch.
Hear that?
He did.
I didn't mean to call it.
He called it the Twitch.
Yeah. Whatever.
Are you taking the pot?
Yeah. Timmy, are you on the TikTok?
I am on the TikTok.
Have you done a marijuana today?
No, but I should have.
How many pots have you smoked today?
So anyway, folks, thank you for your continued viewership, listenership.
Yes.
We certainly appreciate it. We do this obviously not for the thousands of dollars that we make, because we don't make shit for this.
Wait, who's making thousands of dollars here? Wait a minute, what the fuck?
Not us. We make nothing.
Can we tell them we're really doing this for Calvin?
We are.
We're doing this for Calvin because we understand that most of the rest of his life is empty until he hears Ripping the Rack podcast.
Yes, Ripping the Rack podcast and Julie, and that's about it.
My good God. I mean, thank God for Julie, because this would be a broken, lonely, disturbed man if it weren't for Ripping the Rack and the beautiful Julie Locke.
That is true. And I will tease this out there that in a couple of weeks, we just got to work it out timing wise. We will have an actual guest on our Friday show that is in the music industry.
Mm-hmm. A real person. That's bowling related and not our friend. Well, Tim's friend, not our friend though.
My friend. But that's coming up in a while. We don't have it firmly set. He has agreed to do the show. Brian only has to pay him a couple $100.
Wait, what? Huh?
Sorry, it's sponsored by Riverwalk Lanes. That's okay. If we have to, sponsored by Riverwalk Lanes. That's
fine. Anyway, thank you again. You can please send more lock letters to us.
Lock letters.
You know what? We may have to create a new email address called Lock Letters. We might have to.
At least people would know exactly.
ll.rippingtherackpodcast@gmail.com.
You can find us for now. You can send your lock letters to rippingtherackpodcast@gmail.com. You can find us on Facebook. The Facebook.
On the Facebook, yes.
On the Facebook.
Where the kids are.
Ripping the Rack Podcast. You can find us on the Twitter @Ripping the Rack Podcast. Soon to find us on the Instagram.
On the Instagram.
Really, because we've been talking about you having Instagram for the show for like 4 months.
I know, so I'm just going to keep going with it.
I'm just going to grab my phone.
Of course, you can always reach out to Brian on his OnlyFans whenever you want.
No.
And Brian, where else can they hear us?
Certainly not anywhere near OnlyFans. Oh, God. That's something no one ever wants. But they can hear us on Spotify, iHeartRadio, iTunes, Anchor, Breaker, Google Podcasts, and wherever else everyone gives their ears the enjoyment of the Triforce Tri-hosts in them Tuesdays and Friday mornings.
Wow. That was good, Brian. That was impressive. All right, folks. We appreciate it. Peace out.
Bye, everybody.